The views and opinions expressed by the guests of Sasquatch Experience do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the hosts, sponsors, or affiliates of the Sasquatch Experience. As always, listener discretion is advised.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Does a legend walk among us, lurking in the forests of our world?
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something looks like a man. I don't know what it was.
For over 15 years, we've talked with scientists, researchers, investigators, and witnesses, trying to gain insight and proof around the existence of this mysterious entity.
Jesus Christ, you better... See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Join us as we continue into the investigation of the Sasquatch Experience. And good evening, folks. Welcome to the Sasquatch Experience, this very special Christmas episode. You're hearing this on December 25th, Christmas Day as it drops, episode 88, Holiday Time Encounters. 88 episodes, guys. Can you believe it? We're getting close to the 100. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I guess first and foremost, let me be the first to wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Gail.
Yep.
Man, we're going to have a fun show here tonight, guys. We're going to be talking about some holiday time encounters. We got a video we're going to be watching from Minnesota that was taken in 2014. Minnesota, that I'll have loaded up here for us so we could see it here just a little bit. But I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. And Matt, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about something, so I'll let you go first.
Well, you know what? We're going to be going out to Potter County again right after Christmas. The reason why I'm going has to do with Christmas and Bigfoot. So what I'll do first is I'll read a BFRO report from December 2022. And this is from Potter County, Pennsylvania. So this was actually on December 27th. 2022, which is the day, 2 days after Christmas. And we'll go into that just a little bit. So what happened was there was a family that was going out to do muzzleloader hunting. It's actually flintlock hunting here in Pennsylvania. So what happens is we have a muzzleloader season, and then in the late season, it's flintlock only. So these are the old school, Pennsylvania rifles. I mean, they're Kentucky rifles. These are the old flintlock hunting. You can't have a scope. You can only hunt, as you would, if you're in the 1700s, 1800s. So what they did was this person that submitted the report said he was in his tree stand near a small clearing, while his father and grandfather were pushing from the north and west. The hunt at that time was quiet and uneventful up until legal shooting hours ended around 5:15. By this time, he had broken his stand and was walking back to the truck where everyone was going to meet up. He said that the small hike takes no more than 20 minutes. So as he began to walk back, the sun had set and the night was setting in. So it was dark by the time he hit the road that led to the truck. Now, again, a lot of these roads, we're not talking about highways. We're not talking about, state routes. We're talking about little dirt logging roads where these cars are. This was then that he began to hear a knocking sound that appeared like it was coming from the direction where the clearing by the stand was. So he paused for a second, initially disregarding the noise, and then continued walking. Then, only after taking 2 steps, he heard the knocking again from the same direction. So he stopped walking and listened for a few minutes, now to hear more knocking, but this time from another direction and considerably farther away. At this point, he began to feel uneasy, so he picked up the pace. And when he met up with his father and grandfather at the truck, he asked them if he heard any knocking noises while in the woods. And both confirmed that they did, in fact, hear the noises. They drove around for a little bit to see if they can find something that would explain those noises, but the rest of the night was uneventful. So BFRO did, and I know the investigator that went out there, Paul Mateo, great guy. He's been up to that area. He spoke with the witness. He said that the knocks had a regular beat, equally spaced in cadence, and there was about 4 or 5 knocks per set. There were several sets that eventually were heard, and when one knock occurred, it almost seemed to be answering another knock from another location. And he said this occurred several times while he was walking back to the truck. So anyways, I'll tell you where this is literally a mile away from where my camp is in Potter County. So this year, the day after Christmas, I'm driving up with a friend of mine. We're going to go take our flintlock rifles, and we are going to sit in the woods. I'll be right in that area, right where that encounter happened. The nice thing about that is nothing has changed up there. It's all ridge and valleys. It's not exactly, flat farmland or, swamp. This is something like you'd see, maybe in northern New York, or I'd even say out west, because it's just straight up and down. But when I go out there, I'm planning to put a lot of miles on, and especially around dark, I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open for any sort of encounter.
Well, be safe.
I definitely will.
I had a question. Okay, so the flint, I know this is kind of on topic, but not. So back in the day, the flintlock that you use, what's the range to reliability of shot? You understand?
You know what? I'm really, I wouldn't take a shot no more than 100 yards with one. Generally and that is like pushing it. Generally what I do is I'll try anywhere around 50 to 40 yards, 40 to 60, I should say.
Okay.
Is
so
kind of
close to whatever you're going for.
Correct. So a lot of it's actually, a lot of guys, rather than this guy here was sitting in a tree stand while they were trying to push the deer to him. What me and my friend do is we actually, what we call still hunt, which is basically, walking out there, being as quiet as we could, looking for sign and trying to be in that spot where those deer cross at that time. So we try to cover a lot of ground when we do that.
Well, it's a good area.
Absolutely.
We know this. We've been there many times.
Yes.
That's going to be our focus prime next year.
Yes.
For research. It's a great place. And the fact we're getting these stories now is just more of the decisive factor for us to spend more time up there, right? This was
absolutely
not fresh like yesterday, but current in terms of us to be able to go out there and deploy and potentially, be able to, let's say, activity for beings we know, Matt, reside in this part of the state.
Yes.
It's just deploying smartly. Right. And being able to do that. One of the things I found interesting, guys, in this show is, and Vance, welcome. Merry Christmas, Vance.
Oh, thank you.
Hey,
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Hey, Vance.
Vance Nesbitt, folks. Bigfoot Bullhorns here in the house.
Yes, I am.
Well, just one of the things I found interesting in doing, research for the show is the lack of sightings that happen in December.
Yeah.
There aren't many that happen. You go through the databases and you look, and I searched Google. I was all over. BFRO, of course, is the number one that pops up because they have the largest database. But when you go through, December is not a frequent month for Bigfoot reports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I find that interesting because I'm a cold weather guy. I like to be out in the cold, and we've had activity in the cold weather months. So I find it just fascinating that we don't get as many reports. And you figure with people traveling a lot more frequently between the November and December times through New Year's, you would get more sighting reports. So when I found a lack of those, reports, it was weird.
And I gave that a consideration to myself. I'm wondering what the distraction of the holiday is within itself, where you're really not focused on looking around your surroundings, where an encounter may have happened because of the holiday season within itself. And I'm wondering if that's, a contributor to why so many reports kind of dwindle off during that holiday season.
Well, Vance,
yeah, you're on. Go ahead, Baker.
That may actually be a circular argument, because if you think about it, you have all these extra lights, you have all these extra things, you have people. Your hunting season is just being over, and like he said, there's still some seasons running. Mm-hmm. These things may be finding an area where they know that nothing's going on because there's so much going on that they're retreating back to their fallback position.
Oh, that's a good point too.
Why you see so many deer after hunting season, right?
Oh yeah, they're laughing.
That's right.
Or get hit by trucks.
I was talking to Dave Rupert today, Paranormal Griddler, our friends out there, and we're both cold weather guys. And how we just, again, find it silly that, there aren't more reports that happened during this time of the year. But in 2012, with the kickoff the new year, we had a double sighting of two separate sets of witnesses on New Year's Eve and the New Year's Day that had a sighting on the same road near the same location of what we believe to be the same creature during that time period. And that in itself is also extremely rare, right? So we were members of the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society. Probably about quarter after 11 before the new year, these folks were traveling down. I believe that, Matt, is that US 322?
322, yes.
322. And there's this part where you get close to Over the Mountain Bar. It's a bridge. And these folks were driving down the road, and as they were driving across the road, they had something run out the street in front of them. And they, notated it as being very large, hair covered, got enough glimpse of it to say, hey, this wasn't a bear. And one of the things they notated was the whites of the sole on the feet. Mm-hmm. They found that to be incredibly odd. Mm-hmm. So they go about and do their thing, report it through the website. Later on that same morning, probably a little after midnight, New Year, another couple are driving down that same street. And doesn't this creature run out across from these folks? Same build, same everything. And what do they notate? Mm-hmm. The whites on the bottom of the feet. Mm-hmm. We get this report not far from one another, and we're kind of like, this is like a lightning striking twice situation here. And that precipitated our whole Clearfield County excursion for that entire year. That actually culminated in my sighting in 2012. And so, New Year's, of course, you have all the feelings and emotions associated with that, but the folks were very clear that they had not been drinking. They weren't impaired because, that's one of the first questions you're going to ask. How much did you have to drink that night? We're not going to say, here, blow into this and let us know, but we definitely want to know if alcohol was a consideration. And so the other interesting thing is, how similar their encounter stories were. But guys, the most fascinating part of all that is those witnesses have never met each other before until we brought them together.
All right.
We brought them together at Over the Mountain for them to talk and share their encounter. They didn't know each other from Tom, Dick, or Harry. So it was really cool that we had that opportunity during the new year. And I know this is holiday time encounters, we're focusing on that post Thanksgiving to New Year's time where folks, had sightings. And again, Vance, I think you made a really good point there moments ago that when you're in the holiday go time, you're listening to your Christmas music and you're on go mode, you're ready to get to the destination and enjoy your partying. Do you have those blinders up that you're really not paying attention to what's going on?
Right.
But then you have Baker's point that he just made that there's all these stimulating things out there for something to attract the curiosity of one of our forest friends. And we know these things are incredibly curious as they often seen peeking into people's windows to see what's on the TV. How have we not got that obligatory story of a Sasquatch mounting one of the blowies, out in the yard,
mounting a blowy.
I'm gonna come out there and Bigfoot's gonna be riding the Bumble the Yeti out in your yard,
Oh my God. It'd be like a big inflato.
Just give them that, folks. It's Christmas.
Thank you, Fokker, for putting out a girlfriend.
And there it is. I took us down that spiral. Go ahead, Vance.
Yeah. You brought up that fascinating point about the white on the bottom of the feet seen twice. Where was the first time we've all seen that? Was in the PG film. When the foot would lift up, it was white on the very bottom. And, that's always been a keynote with me, is something that's really unusual, but it makes sense. And it all ties together.
And, people get hung up on the coloration of, Bigfoot's skin and what have you. But, and I say this, and folks, if you're listening, don't take this as any other point aside from an observation. An African-American person, the palms of their hands and the palms of their feet are light colored,
much lighter colored, right?
And so if we're going to see that, and even in gorillas, the same thing, chimpanzees, right?
Well, that's because where it's worn off.
Well, not only that, but there's no exposure to any kind of sunlight or environment.
Right.
So you're going to have that, but that's what led me to believe that what these folks saw was pretty genuine.
Right.
That, if it was somebody that was going to hoax you, to me, they would make that thing completely one colored or a piece of wood. They wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
They wouldn't put that much detail into it.
Exactly. I don't think that much detail would have gone into a hoax, especially for somebody that may not know as much about the subject as, all of us and our listeners are into. You can probably put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly and say, there's a train coming.
Well, brains, and you talk about hoaxes this year, right? But again, I don't even think that was done as good detail as, what I think would have to be done to pull the wool over the eyes of 2 separate witnesses. One who, by the way, was a war veteran, served over in the Middle East during the, latest conflict that we've had over there. So, there's definitely some training and keen observation that I do take a little bit more to heart from somebody who's, a veteran or served in the military. They just have to be notable about their surroundings, right? And then, and be more of a keen observer. So that was just a very fascinating story for me, one that happened over the holiday time. And of course, like the one I talked about Friday night when I was over on Phantoms and Monsters Radio, we got a report from Cliff Barrickman out in Catawissa, the farm that I had spent a good time on in 2014. And one of the sightings that happened. So in November, the person who set this off, the father reported a sighting November during hunting season. He goes as he's suiting up outside to go out into his field to hunt. He notices somebody walking, for the life of me, I should have pulled it up. I can't. Anyhow, somebody who he thought was wearing a hunting suit walking through his field. And he's like, well, maybe there's a hunter lost. I'm going to try to get his attention. And as he sees this guy pass this hay bale in his field, he notices that the guy's a good 2 feet taller than the hay bale, and the hay bale stands 6 feet tall.
Right.
So he's like, well, obviously this isn't a person, but what the hell is this? And, he, was getting suited up to go hunting, and it startled him. And he had a little bit of a difficulty with that, didn't know who to report it to. So he goes and sends it to Cliff Barrickman, and Cliff sends it to us. Well, And Matt, I don't know if you went out on this one with us. I don't think Les went out, but I don't know if you went out on this investigation.
I did not. Yeah, I wasn't able to get out there. I've done subsequent investigations in that area, but not for that particular incident.
Right. And so Christmas morning, his son comes down the steps, and down their steps at the bottom of their stairs, they have this large picture window that faces out into the field, into the woods, down by the dog run and a couple sheds they had on the property. And as his son's coming down the stairs, he looks down the dog run and sees this large man-like figure walking up the dog run. Well, that's really foolish for somebody who's not familiar with that property, because they have a big wolfhound or a wolf dog hybrid. I don't know. I'm not a dog guy, but it's part wolf. It's a huge dog, very beautiful, friendly. But if he doesn't know you, it's not something I'd mess with or land I'd trespass on. And this thing was intimidated by it. It cowered away from the Bigfoot or whatever the figure was walking up the dog run. Anyhow, the kid sees it, runs to the couch, starts screaming. Dad comes downstairs, and that's when he starts sending the reports out that, hey, we got something out here. We need to get some investigators out here so we know what we're dealing with. Now, we made several trips out to that place. Lovely family, beautiful people. He's a Marine veteran, I believe. He was a MMA coach. Very credible witness. And we had one of the members on our team had a shadow, not a shadow figure, but a large shadow observation in the trees down by the creek side. Now, we're down at this creek side, -10 degrees, guys. It's the middle of winter. It's cold as balls. And I love that type of atmosphere to research in, because everything's so quiet as it is. You can literally hear things that you wouldn't hear any other time because everything's still. It's cold. You can hear the running of the water, and that's about it. And even the water wasn't running that much. But out of nowhere, there's this loud tum. Something took a big-ass fucking rock and bounced it off the guardrail that's right above this creek, and it scared us so bad. And it was a big rock, guys. It was a big mamma jamma. And it startled us. And we all kind of like, well, maybe we should back out of here just a little bit. And so that was probably one of the most, that Christmas morning encounter. And then, just a month or two after that was pretty startling. So there's some activity that happened down there. And of course, that's another area that you and I have on our list of places to frequent, Matt. And I know other researchers from the CARC have been there. There's just a lot going on in that particular area, and it's worth further study. I don't know what that young man saw. You heard me call it a Bigfoot. I firmly believe he saw something. Kids, as much as their minds are creative, sometimes lack that genuine response to something when they are making something up, and this kid was frightened, and the dogs just don't act up because they're bored. There's something instinctual that causes them to. So that was my kind of holiday time encounters to share with you there. Henry, what do you got for us? You got anything around the holiday time, my friend?
Well, the only thing I have is the report that we discussed on the show not too long ago about 1721 here in Mississippi on Christmas, where these individuals here near Natchez heard unusual noises and had animals go missing.
And Henry, you are the virtual walking encyclopedia of Bigfoot. That's what we call you. You're known throughout the Bigfoot community as the walking encyclopedia. Why do you think there aren't so many reports around that time?
Gosh, that's a good question. I really couldn't tell you. Is it cold weather? But there have been sightings in the winter. There have been tracks found in the winter as well. So,
but don't you think, Henry, if there was a true migration to this animal, that folks postulate that when it's cold up here and it's snowy, the activity in the south would pick up?
Oh gosh, yeah, it probably would. I would imagine.
James, did you ever thought you looked like you were going to say something?
Well, I think a lot of it is, the one thing you said about how when it's cold and things like that, you can, everything's clear. And the fact is, when you move, you make adjustments to the ground. So I'll use a reference from last week. Last week, it was reasonably cold in the morning, and I was trying to move some dirt to fill in some of my pond areas on my mini putt. And when I look back, I could tell clear tracks from where I walked up and where I walked down. I could tell the difference of where I disturbed different things. And then 3 hours later, when things kind of went from 25 to 30 degrees to 45 to 50 degrees, I noticed that a lot of those tracks kind of slowly wiped themselves out. Also, the fact was the debris and stuff I was moving was a lot easier to move. And and you also didn't have that sound clarity. I could hear when I pressed my foot against the ground compared to 2 hours later, it was like a soft crunch compared to compared to I can think of as a Captain Crunch. You know what I mean?
Heavy frosty crunch, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you have to realize is when you're out, the weather differential can be so much to collection. And I'm sure, Matt, there's been times that you've even said as a police officer, oh, it was cold all last night. It's going to be so easy to catch this guy because there's 6 nice prints. But if you'd have went 4 hours later, those 6 nice prints would be a mud bog.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. I was just going to add too, and not to throw some controversy in here, but
controvert.
I know. Talking about possible migration, and the one thing is I live in the Poconos, but my research area is out in north central PA. But here in the Poconos, right, between January to March, every year, there seems to be some activity about a half hour away from me. And where is that? It's on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have activity. We've been out there in the summertime. We've been out there in the fall. No activity. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything there. It seems pretty devoid of any sort of encounters. But come January through March, there are listed encounters all within, maybe about a 10-mile radius. Whether they're finding tracks, they're hearing vocalizations, and then it disappears. So what we're kind of thinking is, one thing is, it could be maybe from the Sussex County area where they do get those reports in the fall, in the summertime. And maybe just in January through March, they decide to take a stroll south, not very far south, but they're still going south, through Pennsylvania. And, it could be from that specific troop. I guess you can, if you'd want to call it that.
Absolutely. Folks, we have to take a quick break here. We got a commercial and then the Bigfoot bullhorn to play. Then when we come back, Vance and I talked a little bit about this earlier today. Bigfoot encounter on Christmas. We got the video for those of you that'll be watching. For those of you listening, we'll post the link. But stick around. We'll be right back right after this break.
The next Small Town Monsters Kickstarter launches on February 1st of 2024. Mark your calendars and join the campaign to be a part of STM history. Backing the campaign guarantees you a plethora of physical and digital rewards, including artwork, books, apparel, and early access to the next round of Small Town Monsters films, with your name in the credits. Films like On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients, Lost Contact, Dogman Territory, Werewolves in the Land Between the Lakes, and the Kickstarter backer exclusive Cryptid, The Goat Man. Visit smalltownmonsters.com for more information, and be sure to follow us on your social media platform of choice for more news and sneak peeks at upcoming Kickstarter rewards. You can join the campaign anytime during the month of February, but don't delay. Once it's over, it's over. Back the campaign, choose your rewards, and be a part of this incredible journey.
News team, assemble! I love our holiday traditions, like the Christmas tree, where we go out and we chop down a tree and we put it in our living room. Kind of sounds like the behavior of a drunk man, really. Some woman wakes up, honey, why is there a pine tree
in our living room.
I like it. We're gonna decorate it for Jesus.
Ah, yes, the holiday crazy traditions. I'm just glad we chose to put a tree in the house instead of a holiday porcupine that you have to decorate as it runs around the house. This is the Bigfoot Bullhorn right here on the Sasquatch Experience. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas and staying in concert with what we are talking about, creepy Bigfoot encounters and Christmas. Beyond Creepy, which is a YouTube channel, posted this story that I think you would enjoy to hear.
It was the 23rd of December, just 2 days before Christmas, 1976. 19-year-old Roger Hines walked into a sheriff's office in Gresham, Oregon, and related a fantastical tale involving his encounter of a strange animal. What makes this story so unique is that Hines was dressed in a Santa Claus outfit, and the strange animal he saw was Bigfoot. He told the deputies that he had gotten dressed up as Old St. Nick to attend a Christmas party at his father's house. Late that evening, he had left the party and was driving home, still dressed in the outfit, when he saw something standing by the road that gave him such a fright that he rushed right to the sheriff's office to report it. Speaking to the Lincoln Star newspaper, Hines reported that the creature he saw was 8 feet tall and had, quote, lots of hair. He also noted that the deputies who heard his tale were less than receptive. The deputies just cracked up when I told them, because I was still wearing the Santa Claus suit from the party, Roger told the newspaper. So did Roger Hines really encounter a hairy, 8-foot-tall monster? Or had he merely misidentified a known animal, possibly a bear? What really happened on that cold, wintry night of December 23rd, 1976, the night Santa Claus met Bigfoot?
Well, thanks again to Beyond Creepy over on YouTube for letting me share that story. And you know there's some details to that story that are not covered. Considering this happened in 1976, I don't believe that the culture was enveloped in the Bigfoot topic as it is today, and we don't know the age of the police officers in which he made this report to. Were they young and not aware, or were they old and just disbelieving? But nonetheless, it's a good story, and it's rather interesting. With that said, this did happen in the Pacific Northwest, in Oregon. Pretty prominent place to see a Bigfoot, if you ask me. When we come back, well, Johnny is going to give us his opinion on Bigfoot.
You're listening to the Sasquatch Experience.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas.
Yes, that's right. Those reckless, thoughtless reindeer can be dangerous. That's why you need Mutual of Omaha's Antler Insurance. Be protected in the event of eggnog-influenced reindeer behaving badly and causing bodily harm or property damage. At Mutual of Omaha Insurance, we're here to cover you and your grandma.
For me and Grandma, we believe. Sing it, Grandpa. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas
So what does Johnny have to say about the Bigfoot topic. He is a friend of mine. We're only going to use first names just to keep the anonymous factor, because we do promise our listeners if they want to remain anonymous and report a story to Sasquatch Experience, we can do that. We have the ability. Now, the noise that you hear in the background of this interview is table saws and gunfire. Not really. I made that part up. But it is nail guns, so kind of close. But it's a job site interview with Johnny.
What is your take on Bigfoot? Do you think it's real or not real?
I don't know anything about Bigfoot to have a take on it.
Do you know what it is?
It's a monster.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
Okay. And that's all you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's some people say it exists, some people say it doesn't. Some people can give you life experiences that really paint a picture like it's real, they've seen it, they dealt with it, whatever. And then some people tell you that's the craziest thing in the world.
Right. I'm aware of that. You're aware of that. What's your take? Do you think it's possible or that's a bunch of BS?
In this messed up society we live in today, anything is possible.
Oh, that's a perfect answer.
Thanks again for listening to this edition of the Bigfoot Bullhorn right here on the Sasquatch Experience. And from all of us at Sasquatch Experience, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a safe and healthy 2024. Oh yeah, keep your toes in the mud.
And there we have it, folks, the Bigfoot Bullhorn. Thanks, Vance, so much for this week's update. Very exciting. Got to get your Mutual of Omaha Angler insurance. I like it.
Does that cover rub off?
Oh.
Leave it the bigger.
Yes.
Valid question if you understand deer.
It is a valid question. Yes.
It is. But why humor them, folks? Don't feed the trolls, which is something we've learned a long time ago. However, the chief troll is always on my mind.
Yeah. No one's ever argued about my antler size.
There it is. All right. Speaking of reindeer and antlers, Vance, let's cue this up. You and I talked about this earlier today, the Bigfoot encounter on Christmas from Minnesota. Go ahead here and we'll cue this video up and they'll be able to see us. So be on your best behavior behind this bake.
Say Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
The tree.
What was that?
Oh my God. Did you see that?
Something's behind the garage.
Did you see that?
No, what was it?
It was really big. Oh my God, do you see it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. No way.
That can't be.
What the hell? Oh my God, are you getting this?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Go to her. Where's it at?
Go get in the woods.
Oh,
you're going to
oh no.
after him. We're real scared of them. Rap. You stay here, Rap. You stay here.
Let me get closer.
Where the heck did it go?
I don't know. I hear something though. I still hear it. You guys hear it? Yeah, it is. Riff, come on, Riff. I did too.
Rip, stay here. Rip.
It's gonna come out in the clearing.
Oh, there it is, right over there.
Oh my god.
Hell.
Oh my god. We better get back inside, guys.
Yeah. Rip. Rip.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thoughts?
Yeah. Matt, I think you should go first.
Well, you know what? There's a couple things that I saw in this, and I watched this earlier. One action that I thought was kind of strange, but really plays into the fact that this may not be a hoax is the action of the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Russell Terriers are little, they're like a 300-pound Mastiff in a 20-pound body. But if you saw that dog in the beginning, he ran straight into that wood line and then ran straight back,
right,
a good 20, 30 yards and stayed there, and it was barking. But the fact that it ran out and then immediately came back was something that made me think about it. There's a couple other things that I liked and I don't like with it. The one thing is whatever was moving back there moved very fluidly, and it didn't appear that this was like an AI figure or anything like that would be superimposed. There was an animal reaction, from that dog, and that dog was continuing to bark that entire time. So I know that there were a few people that had looked into this. Some people are saying, no, this was just a hoax. But I'll tell you, the dog's reaction is just, it really makes me think that this.
Right. And on that take, Matt, the first 20 seconds of the video had me scratch my head because she's in the house and she's recording the family or friends, whatever, at this Christmas gala that they have in the house. And for whatever reason, for those that did not see the video, this garage is detached from the house by at least 100 feet.
Yeah.
And she said, oh my God, there's something behind the house here. She's in the house. Now, yes, there's windows, and it's possible if you're in the family and friends, that's where your focus is looking at your phone. And yet she caught this walking behind the garage, the detached garage on the property. So then I start scratching my head going, yeah, I don't know if this thing is real. The second thing is she asked either her husband or boyfriend, are you getting this? And he's got his phone, but yet we don't see his video.
Yep.
That's not made available. But I will agree with Matt. The dog reaction spins everything on its head. Completely spins it on its head because, yes, I'm familiar with little Jack Russells. You're absolutely right. 20 pounds max. 20 pounds is really kind of pushing it. But these things think that they can go after Godzilla and take it down. That's how a Jack Russell. And you're right. Get to the tree line, and then it comes back and retreats. It did not stop barking in the direction in which whatever that shadowy figure is walking very fluidly, like you mentioned, Matt. So I'm kind of tossed. I would like to see what he captured on his phone also and compare the two.
Good point. Good point, Vance. Go ahead, JB.
Well, the one thing is, at least they're starting to take notes. The fact is that I like the fact that they didn't just give us the 4-second clip of what they saw and then didn't give us the 4 after. I like the fact that it was kind of a continuous reel.
Right.
There was a lot of faltering on her end, but I guess, my opinion would be, why wouldn't you just stay at the window? She had as much steering as she did outside. The dog, I like the concept of the dog, but as a dog owner, my dog will bark at a squirrel for 25 minutes. Okay. If there's a live or fake shadowy figure out there,
right,
he would go after it and then run right back, whether it was whatever, because I have a fake dog in my yard, and every morning when he doesn't remember it, he runs right out to go say, "What are you doing in my yard?" And then realizes he's talking to a statue. So, I mean, the level of that, I do like the fact that it was a solid form, and it was all one color, and it was moving. So you saw more of a shadow than a creature. Okay. Like I said, if it's real, it's a really random encounter, but if it's fake, they put the work in.
Yeah.
Let's agree. And another point I wanted to bring up is if this were even somebody, even to the curiosity which I have, even 50% of the curiosity in which I have, I would think within a half an hour after that event, because the ground is snow covered, I want to see if there's footprints out there.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. I run at that thing.
And we haven't gotten a follow up on that either, because there was plenty of snow on the ground for footprints to have been left in the snow, whether it's just, documentary, whatever. And again, none of that ever came to fruition as far as evidence on that video.
Henry, your thoughts?
Well, there's at least one red flag that I can throw up on this video, and that is that it sticks around too long. A wild animal would take off. Wild animal would have been gone by then.
So you're saying the subject...
knowing how big Sasquatch are, it wouldn't have taken it long to get out of there pretty quickly.
So you're saying it was there too long in your estimation for it. Well, that's a fair assessment too. Guys, I don't know what to think about it. It's interesting. All I know is that we'll talk about it more as more details come to fruition on this video. We'll get to poke around and search more. I didn't see it, well before this. I don't think, did we play this last year at the holiday time? I don't remember.
No.
I've seen it. I've seen this video footage 3 times. I believe it was originally taken in 2014. It was the original capture. So it's been around for a while, but I haven't seen much come fruition. Again, I'm using that word about that sighting.
So has anybody broke? So no one's really broken it down. Like
Thinker Thunker did.
No, yeah, Thinker Thunker. Right.
Yep.
And what was his final estimation, Matt?
He believed it was a 7-foot tall creature that was in those woods.
Well, there you have it. We'll leave it at that for now. Folks, you've been listening to the holiday episode of the Sasquatch Experience. Sean Forker, Vance Nesbitt, James Baker, Henry May, Matt Arner. Guys, from as we have the little header there on the screen, the Patreon support us starts for as little as $2 a month for mostly ad-free shows. I guess we have ads in the news, antler insurance, but nonetheless, mostly free, mostly ad-free shows. But for $2 a month, what do you expect? Steak? Anyhow, it's good stuff. We're happy to provide it to you. Follow us on our social media, of course, Sasquatch Experience on Facebook and Instagram, Squatch EXP on X. Report your sighting and encounter to info@sasquatchexperience.com. We also have a phone number, which is 570-940-9411. You can report it to us confidentially. If you'd like to support the show even more through the $2 Patreon, you can also buy our material, our merchandise. Go to sasquatchexperience.com, click on shop, takes you to our stores. And that's all we have for tonight, guys. Of course, it's been I know we've all been busy with the holidays. Wonderful to see you guys, and just appreciative, again, thankful that we've all taken this journey together. We had a great year, closed it out strong. We'll be back in the new year with more Squatchy goodness just for you. And Henry, why don't you take us out with those dulcet tones?
Y'all be good or be good at it. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, folks.
You're the
Thanks,
best.
Squatch.
Bless us, everyone.
Oh, no. Tiny Bake.
You've been listening to Sasquatch Experience. Please rate and review wherever this podcast is consumed. To share your experience, visit us on Facebook or email us, squatchexperience@gmail.com. Keep on squatching.